What's up? It's Rick. Welcome back to Only Football. Kyle and I are about to recap Week 6 of the NFL. We're also going to give you our running back of the week. We're going to top it off with our top five, and we're going to change it up and give you our prediction for Thursday Night Football Week 7. Let's get it.
What is going on, y'all? Welcome to Week 6 recap.
Is that an R? That's an R, yeah.
I don't know if I'm sad, but I can't believe it's going to be Week 7 next week. Like, where did the NFL season go, and how are we already out of it? Let's not even go down that right now. The Bears, we'll talk about them later. Denver, we don't even have to talk about, thankfully. But, man, we're going to start in the UK, so we're going to break down this whole game with a London accent. This was the Baltimore Ravens.
The Baltimore Ravens, you say?
I didn't know you were going to go for it. The Baltimore
Ravens.
Hey?
Hey.
The Baltimore Ravens and Derrick Henry in London taking on Lamar Jackson. And look, the Ravens, I think they're coming off not a good performance the following week. Really wanted to see them kick it into gear. What's your takeaway?
So the Ravens, like you said, you mentioned they came off a really tough loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers, dude. And it was tough because the Ravens going into that game were, I think, scoring at an 85% clip when they got into the red zone, right? So to see them get in the red zone and not score, like to see them barely get into the red zone in that game, it was tough. Coming to this game, we're like, okay, this might be a right the ship kind of game. At least I had the Baltimore Ravens winning against Tennessee, and that's exactly what they did. The thing is, they still didn't score touchdowns in the red zone. In 6 trips, they scored 1 touchdown. And the rest were field goals from Tucker, who has gotten to become the Tucker we know and love with this game. The Ravens have trouble scoring right now, and it sucks because they were doing so well weeks 1 through 4. Lamar Jackson had a pretty good game, 223 passing yards, 62 rushing yards. The Tennessee Titans, on the other hand, half their yards came from Derrick Henry. And usually when Derrick Henry is over 100 yards rushing, you're looking at a dub for the Tennessee Titans. The thing is, Tannehill went out with an injury, and Malik Willis came in, has shown that he's having a tough time making that transition from college to the NFL. The best situation the Titans have right now is to go with Tannehill. Will Levis is kind of sitting there waiting to see if he gets an opportunity. But, man, it's tough to be the Titans right now. We look at them in the past and how well they've done, in the division to go into the playoffs, but they are struggling right now with an injured Tannehill, with a QB2 who is not very good, and a QB3 who is a rookie. I don't know, man. It looks like the Tennessee Titans are on a downhill slope. I
think. What do you think about the Ravens offensively? Because this game, there were 9 made field goals, like you said earlier. Is this more about Tennessee having a good red zone defense, or just a lack of, I don't know, Lamar Jackson not being able to get the job done, for lack of better words?
This was a huge testament on the Titans defense. I don't know where they rank in terms of yards or points in total. I think they actually rank pretty high in yards or in points. I forget which one it is, but man, they showed their true fucking grit, especially in the red zone with how they handled those 6 trips. that's all the credit to the defense, man. The Ravens get to the red zone now, and it's just like they forget how to play football. That's exactly what happened. 6 trips, you only get 1 touchdown. Like, this should have been, what was it, 24-16? This should have been probably 35 to like 17 or 20 or something like that. They should have been able to beat the Ravens by like 3 scores minimum.
Yeah, and I've always kind of thought about these London games like that. Like when you see Tennessee Ravens, you know that it's going to be a gritty game. I mean, think about the kind of coach Tennessee has, and they're always going to show up. They're always going to be tough. I thought this kind of looked similar to Ravens Steelers, something like that. So not surprised that it turned into a game like that. I'm pretty sure we predicted that type of a football game. I'm pretty sure I specifically mentioned a weird score because of field goals and all of that.
Yeah,
and
I think so too. I think you did. Yeah.
Yeah, and then here we are. This doesn't really give me what I need from Baltimore. I've been kind of critical of Baltimore, but I'm telling you straight up, this is just not, to me, a real threat yet. From what I see. But I'll let you guys know when I have that moment. Did you learn anything before we move on to our next?
The Titans got to move on from Tannehill. I think they got to move on. I think it's Will Levis time, baby. You got to see what you got in the rookie.
That. You already know that you don't got anything good in him.
I think it's time to start to see Will Levis. I think that's what I think to see. That's what I'd like to see. What does Will Levis have? Because Tannehill is on the out. Let's be real, right? Like those first 3 years in Tennessee for Tannehill, awesome. You were a Titans fan. You're like, oh, fuck yeah, we got a resurgent quarterback. Let's go. Now, not so good. Not so good.
And you just kind of knew that no matter what happened in this game, the offense not being able to get going was going to always come back and be blamed on Ryan Tannehill. But this offensive line has been bad. Like we have to acknowledge that. And they're very injured. They're forced to play Brandon Stevens at safety, who's not even a safety, right? Because Marcus Williams went off injured. And the backup safety, Geno Stone, continued to impress and he had an interception on the day. So I did think you saw some depth from Tennessee. And maybe a little bit, I really think if they had even a top 15 O-line, that Tennessee would be one of the power teams. Like, they would be a team that wins the same recipe, but without that O-line, they can't do what they do best. They really can't. And you look at Derrick Henry's run that he had. He had a handoff on a direct snap, or I guess it's not a handoff, direct snap, and they faked the reverse. And he ran it for 63 yards. Now,
savage.
This is the last thing I wanted to say. Derrick Henry only carry against a light box turned into a season-long 63-yard run with plus 55 rushing yards over expected. Henry had 11 carries for 34 yards and a touchdown when facing 7 or more. So you see that they were able to contain Henry. 11 carries for 34 yards when they had 7 or more in the box. His only carry against the light box, he runs for 63 yards. Really impressed to see that. And for our next game, we have the same exact score. We just have 2 different teams. 16-24 this time. The Commanders getting the win over the Atlanta Falcons. I thought that Washington's defense looked good, bouncing back after Jack Del Rio's defense got blasted on primetime by your Chicago Bears, by the way. So this was a big bounce back game for the Commanders. I think they're pretty gritty. What's your takeaway here?
The Falcons and Desmond Ridder, beatable at home. That's the biggest one right here. Beatable at home.
Most surprising undefeated streak to break. Not the Eagles, not the 49ers, but somehow Desmond Ridder losing at home is the craziest.
And we got to look at the defense for this one. They proved that, look, you got to go with a different cornerback here than Desmond Ridder. 3 interceptions. Jack Del Rio's defense did really well against a very subpar quarterback. He was able to win last week. That's probably the best game Desmond Ridder's ever going to play in the NFL. The Washington defense did really well. Intercepted him 3 times. Sam Howell, not a great game yards wise, but he threw for 3 touchdowns. You know, Brian Robinson got one, Curtis Samuel got one, Antonio Gibson got one. Antonio Gibson, someone we didn't realize was still, a part of this offense, really, at least a productive part of this offense. So really not an amazing game by the offense. This really has a lot to do with the defense for the side of the Washington Commanders. And the Falcons, man, Desmond Ridder threw for 300 yards, but again, those interceptions hurt him. 2 touchdowns, cool, awesome. But, like, I don't think you're him, man. And look, the Bears were able to torch the Commanders secondary for 300-plus yards from field, right?
Oh, wait, no. The Bears are good now.
Yeah, let's settle down.
When Justin Fields plays well, the Bears are good.
Yes, but if the Bears can do it with what they've showed this past week, let's be real. Like I think a lot of teams can do this against this Washington secondary, and that is with the secondary. I think one of their first round draft pick was a cornerback. They sat him this game. They said, dude, like you obviously fucked up against the Bears. We sat you. Desmond Ridder still threw 300 yards against the secondary. So while the Commanders may be having trouble at the secondary, they still got 3 picks off of Ridder. Like, you're getting 3 picks and 300 yards. I think you're comfortable with giving that up and 2 touchdowns. Like, I think you're comfortable as a secondary and as a defensive coordinator to give that up and as a team in general. Again, Howell, 151 yards, but 3 touchdowns. That's what you're really looking at. Can you win the game? Yes, that's what Sam Howell did. As far as the Falcons, I think it's time to make a change from Desmond Ridder. I think they have Heineke, the Commanders' old quarterback. I think you go to Heineke here because 24-16, you only lost by 8, man. I think Heineke might win this game. You throw him in the second half because Desmond Ridder's second half was absolute trash.
Yeah, and the Falcons definitely did have a chance to win. A lot of people are going to be questioning Arthur Smith and what happened with all the mental errors at the end of the game. It was an 8-point game. An 8-point game, man. There was a chance for the Falcons really to win this game. Down 8 in the fourth quarter. The Falcons drove down to the goal line, and there was a questionable play call on second down, and then a delay of game penalty on third down, pushed him back to the 7. And Atlanta nearly took another delay on the next play, which seemed to frazzle Riddler, who tossed the end zone interception after that play. I mean, they just fell apart when they had a chance right there. And that's kind of the stuff that winners aren't made of. Winners overcome. They love it. They love that scenario. And somehow the Falcons just weren't ready for it. What did you think about the mental mistakes towards the end?
It's rough. It's just rough to see right now from the Falcons. And you saw Arthur Smith there in the sideline. Even he was like doing this, like fist in the face, like he looked hilarious. The Falcons, I'll kind of end it with this, as Kyle had to go D for a P there. The Falcons are the first team to hold a team under 200 yards of offense and still lose.
Yes.
Kyle, if you didn't hear me, they held the Commanders to less than 200 yards of offense and still lost the game. First team in history to do so.
Are you serious?
Yep.
What does that mean? Like, what do you think about that? What does that say to you?
The Falcons are good defensively. They have a solid running back. Yeah, honestly, a couple running backs, Algier and Robinson. They've got some really good weapons there. Drake London, Kyle Pitts. The quarterback may be the issue, because if you're throwing for 300 yards and you're throwing 3 interceptions in the second half, that means that, one, your line is decent enough to give you time to throw for 300 yards. 2, you're able as a quarterback to see what you're doing and see what the defense is giving you. But 3, you're just not ready to make it, to get a win when it really comes down to it. So I don't know, man. I feel like the Falcons may have all the pieces in place except the quarterback.
Yeah, and man, That really sucks for a guy that picked Atlanta as a dark horse playoff team, because you're right. It's just like the Chicago Bears. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's just certain teams where you're like, if they can get it rolling, they could probably really get it rolling. But we're gonna move on to another team. Well, we just talked about your Bears, so let's talk about it. The
All
Chicago
right.
Bears win. No, I'm just kidding. They get the loss, but
I fucking hate you.
no, I just wanted to say though, everything that you said needed to happen for the Bears to win happened. Justin Jefferson was
Mm,
not in the game, and the Vikings did struggle, but Justin Fields left, so it
yeah.
doesn't really matter. Was that your whole season? Because I saw your short where you said 2-4 versus one, and it
Yeah.
was like, come on, we're gonna turn this season around, and then this happens. What's the shift? Like, what do you do with the Bears right now?
Um, I said this on Big League Chicago earlier before I hopped in the stream for Monday Night Football. The Bears season is over. 1-5. The Bears season is over. Justin Fields dislocated his thumb on his throwing hand, which sucks. He's questionable for the game against the Raiders. But the Bears needed this win against the Vikings to try to get 4 out of the next 5, which included this Vikings game. You can't beat the Vikings without Justin Jefferson, and the defense did well more than enough, and you can't beat them? You can't beat more than 19 points. Instead, you only put up 13. Like, Kitzman, the offense was on the struggle bus today. One of the main things that they forgot how to do was, maybe call run plays, because that seemed to be the only successful thing that was going on in the game. Tyson Bagent came in the third quarter, got the ball out quickly, got DJ Moore involved, was able to get the offense going down the field, even rushed for his first ever touchdown in an NFL game in which he made his debut. But he had a fumble 6. He had a pick at the end of the game to seal the win for the Vikings. Getsy kind of just said, I want to force the ball like I did against the Commanders last week, where Justin had over 300 plus yards, or 282 yards. That just wasn't happening, man. They were blitzing Justin Fields. They were getting to him. They were putting pressure on him, making him do bad throws or try to get outside to rush the ball. It was not working. Kirk Cousins didn't have a phenomenal game. He had one touchdown pass to Jordan Addison later in the game. The fumble 6 was 7 points. That wasn't given up by the defense. You take all that into consideration, the Bears only gave up 12 points because they went for a 2-point conversion, I'm pretty sure, and they missed it. The Bears defense only gave up 12 points. You're telling me, as an offensive coordinator, you can't see what's right in front of you, and that's that the run game is working, and you're not calling any more runs? Like, Eberflus is 4-19 as a head coach in his season and a half here. We're not going to win with that. No matter what happens, we're not going to win with that. I can't see him win 10 games this year. That's the only way he keeps his job, is if he somehow turns it around, gets 9 wins in a row, or scatters in the next 9 wins over the rest of the season and is able to maybe be a fringe playoff team. This Bear season is over. They may move some pieces on the defense, because the offense, you're not going to move Justin Fields. You're not going to move DJ Moore. Your line is pretty good right now with the pieces you have. You're not going to get rid of any of them. Maybe Lucas Patrick or Whitehair, who are struggling as a center. You're going to get rid of someone on the defense, which is, there's already rumors. But Eberflus is probably gone after this year, and as well as his whole staff, including Getsy. But the Bears season, I think, is completely over. Justin Fields might be the quarterback next year, but I say you keep him out for the Raiders game. I say you keep him out.
Oh, he was ruled out today.
Oh, I thought he was doubtful.
Oh,
I saw he was doubtful.
Oh, I might have saw it like 30 minutes after you or something like that.
Yeah, 11:45 a.m. was Justin Fields is doubtful. But there might be some other stuff going on too, so I don't know. We won't know until probably later on this week.
I'm sorry. I swear I saw it on. Oh, here it is. Bears. Oh, you're right. Doubtful.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I take it back. To me,
All
that
good.
meant he wasn't playing.
And to be honest, like, that probably should mean that he shouldn't play. If he's doubtful, he dislocated his thumb on his throwing hand. You don't bring someone in there. You keep him out a week. Like, why not? Like, what's the harm, you know?
But here's the one thing I will say. You can't forget that Justin Fields is playing for his job. This is a scenario where it's like, rarely is somebody as gifted as Justin Fields, truly feeling like he's fighting for his career. I mean, if he gives the Bears the number 1 pick, they might want to mess around and draft another guy. And Justin Fields has unfinished business in Chicago. So to me, that is a variable if he comes back out, because the whole front office, they may not be able to hold back a guy that's jobs on the line. You know what I mean? He may force himself to go out there.
And Eric and I had this discussion, and I feel like we were talking about it here in one of these past games. The skill positions, the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, the running backs, great positions to have, right? But we agreed on this, Eric and I, on Big League Chicago, is that when it comes to defending the quarterback and getting pressures and sacks on the opposing quarterback, those are very important to this football game. They're very important to the foundation of having a good team. The Bears can barely get to the quarterback. They've shown that in the last 2 weeks, maybe. They cannot protect the quarterback to pass the ball. They're having a very tough time. The only reason they were able to do that against Washington was because Washington was so cocky with their front four that they're like, they're going to get to the quarterback. It's just a matter of time. And what happened? They may have gotten to Justin Fields like 3 times, I think 3 sacks, Washington, but they were only rushing 4. The Vikings blitz on a ridiculous percentage, might be number 1 in the NFL. That's what had Justin Fields all scatterbrained, and that's what made him take some terrible throws and maybe run the ball. So when you get down to the establishing a very good football team, you got to draft in the offensive line and you got to draft in the defensive line, because you need pressure on the quarterback and you need to protect the quarterback. The Bears looking good in the offensive line, improving, but the defensive line is full of a bunch of older vets that, yes, have good experience. And Njoku, nine sacks in a row for like 4 years or whatever it is, but they're not looking the part right now, and it's going to be rough. So I think even if you do draft, you go in the trenches.
Is he related to Njoku from Cleveland?
Ngakwe, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't being funny.
No. Yeah, I fucked up.
Well, all right. Sorry that, join me. It's the water is warm.
Dude, shit, you're joining me, if anything.
No, you're joining me. You went
got
to the
most
playoffs
recent
in
Super Bowl.
2018.
You saw a Super Bowl.
You saw a playoff game in the last 7 years. Yeah?
I'd rather have the Super Bowl 10 years ago.
Well, then you should be a Seahawks fan, because 10 years ago they did have a Super Bowl.
Yep.
And that is not quite the team that we have here today. So Seattle did do a lot defensively to stay in this game. A lot of people thought this might be a game where Cincinnati kind of takes the top off of the defense. Jamar Chase has a bunch of yards. No, T. Higgins was pretty much shut down the whole game. But really, it's the Seahawks in the red zone that didn't get the job done. It was not pretty. When you look at going into week 6, they were converting 58.8% of their red zone possessions into touchdowns. Now, the execution dropped off in their last 2 games. They were 5 for 10, but it never reached a concerning level. And it did on Sunday. Absolutely. Are you worried about the Seahawks and these offensive struggles when it comes to getting in the red zone? Because they had so many opportunities to win this game.
They did. And, man, it's crazy because when Geno Smith throws for 320-plus yards, you hear that as a Seahawks fan, you're like, oh, we must have won that game, right? No, he had 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. And their struggles in the red zone, again, highlight that inefficiency from that offense in this game against the Bengals defense, which Cam Taylor-Britt with a really, really clutch interception there against the Seahawks. I think, did he take it back or no? No, he didn't take. I thought he took it back for a pick 6. Regardless, the offense was struggling. DK Metcalf wasn't doing anybody any favors. Yes, he had 4 receptions for 69 yards, but he was playing angry out there, and I feel like there was frustration boiling over, and you saw that. He was like, I think he like tossed, what's his name, Taylor Britt after like, and then he got called for a foul. Like, you don't do that, man. Like, that's not the shit you do. You're a leader of this team, DK, and you can show frustration, but man, when you got the flags, it just makes it even worse. So it is a little, I guess, worrying that Geno Smith had those picks, and that just the fact that they came away with a field goal in the red zone too. That's the best they could do. Because this isn't the Geno Smith I think we know. Last year he led the league in what, efficiency passing or passer rating, whatever it was, or completion percentage, one of those things. And he's having a tough time this year. On the other side, this is what I called, because I called the Bengals winning this against the Seahawks, and I called like, this is going to be another game for the Bengals to really start like revving the engine, starting to get the ball rolling. And Joe Burrow didn't have a great game, 2 touchdowns, 185 yards, and an interception. So it really wasn't like an offensive spark for the Bengals. You got to credit their defense on this one, though. That's what really, really got them to win this game, was all their defense. They got 4 sacks on Geno Smith. I think it was actually 5. And they had a lot of key stops in the red zone, big time stops in the red zone. So credit the Bengals defense. But I think Joe Burrow and this offense needs to have a lot more games like they did last week in order to really get the ball rolling for the Bengals and have them be those AFC championship game type of team like they have in the last 2 years.
And this may be a very unpopular opinion, but to me, after watching this game, I see exactly why I think the Bengals can go to the Super Bowl. Ooh. And that is because when I was picking, I only got one team that could be top 5 offense and top 5 defense in the league. It was Miami, and their defense has pretty much been hot garbage, even though Vic Fangio's calling it over there. It doesn't matter when you put up, half of 1,000 yards per game, but it hasn't been great by any stretch of the imagination, and it is in the bottom half. And the Bengals, on the other hand, their defense is showing you what they're capable of. And this was the right time to have this game. And this is the luxury of having a great defense. Your offense isn't able to get a lot of points. They start really hot, but then they're dormant late in the game. Mm-hmm. And then you look at it and it's like, yeah, but the Bengals won the game. Why? Because their defense stopped Seattle in the most important moments of the game. And that was a game ball that goes to the defense and not the offense. Mm-hmm. And what's the highlight of this team? Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd had a big game in this, right? And that's why I say he's the best wide receiver 3 in the league, is because even when T. Higgins, doesn't have a crazy game, there he is, Tyler Boyd, and I just think if they can have that kind of a defense and it's only a matter of time before the offense gets rolling, they're going to dominate their opponents. They're going to continue to get better. A lot of new players drafted on the defense side. This Bengals team is starting to roll, and this by no means was an easy win against the Seahawks team coming off a bye. I think the Bengals proved something to a lot of people.
Yeah, best offensive player in this game, Geno Smith with 323 yards. That's the best offensive player in this game. And he still had 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. Kenneth Walker III was held to 16 yards in the entire defense. So you're praising the defense for the Bengals, and that's 100% what they should be doing. I agree. This might be something that shows the Bengals that they can get to the Super Bowl with this good of a defense.
Yeah, and our next game that we're going to talk about, I'm pumped because I remember I was like getting laughed at for something. Oh, wait, I remember. Oh no. It was when we were doing our top 5 and I put Cleveland in it. You laughed at me and you said, "Are you kidding?"
2 weeks ago.
That was
2 weeks ago I was laughing at you.
2 weeks ago. And then they lost, or they had the bye week, so nothing changed. and you didn't see any change.
They lost going into the bye week without Deshaun Watson.
They lost going into the bye without
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson. Then they had the bye week, and then no, that's not why you laughed at me. You laughed at me because I picked the 49ers to get upset by this team, and you laughed at me again.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
love laughing at me. You don't believe in Cleveland. This Cleveland team, when they get Deshaun Watson back, is a top 5 team in the league. I was shocked as anybody, but you have to admit it. We've seen enough football to say this Cleveland team, when they beat the 49ers with a backup quarterback. Now, on the other side, CMC, Debo, and Trent Williams all got hurt. So, I'm not going to be like Cleveland. Both teams had a major issue, but one team didn't have their franchise quarterback. That's the biggest issue, and Cleveland still got the win. This says a lot about Cleveland. What did you take away from this?
I don't know if this says a lot about Cleveland, but this says a lot about Cleveland's defense and how fucking good it is. This was one of the ones where I was like, wow, this offense for the 49ers is going up against a defensive unit, as good, if not better, than the San Francisco's defense. This was a great one. Myles Garrett was getting pressure. Brock Purdy got sacked 3 times, completed only 44% of his throws, I believe, is the number. Dude, the Browns' defense was amazing, and they knew they had to be, because P.J. Walker was the quarterback in this game. The guy who got cut by the Bears, the guy who was an XFL quarterback, MVP type of person, right? Doesn't really translate to the NFL. He had 2 interceptions in this game, no touchdowns, 192 yards. The defense knew they had to be good. Deshaun Watson wasn't going to come back in this game and try to go up against the San Francisco defense. I don't know what happened to the defense for San Francisco where they gave up 19 points. Yeah, sure. I mean, they took it away twice from PJ Walker. But damn, you lose. You hold Dallas to 10, and then you give up 19 to a backup quarterback who's gone from team to team to team. That's rough for that defense for the 49ers. But Brock Purdy, again, 44% of his passes completed, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. You mentioned Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel and Trent Williams going out. Huge subtractions there in that game. I got to give it to the Cleveland defense, and that's it. I'm giving it to the Cleveland defense, and that's it. There's no part of that offense that I like. If Deshaun Watson was back and they still only scored 19, I'd probably still say the same thing. The 49ers offense came up against a fucking unit in the Cleveland Brown defense.
A fucking unit. And the Browns, man, they got to be feeling pretty good about themselves. But don't forget that the 49ers had a losing record before they acquired CMC. This is the first game that Brock Purdy has lost that he hasn't broken his elbow in. Okay? And to me, it's not a coincidence that it came without Debo and Christian McCaffrey. CMC is the difference between the 49ers winning this game. If CMC doesn't get hurt, the 49ers win this game. I believe that. I would bet anything that CMC is worth 2 points per game at a minimum. Yeah. So I do think that for the 49ers, it was an opportunity to see the value of CMC. Not that they needed to, because he's scored in every game, which that streak is over now, correct?
Yeah. No. So Christian McCaffrey.
Did he get a touchdown in the beginning?
He did.
Nice. So he gets the touchdown.
Yeah.
But it's concerning because what are these injuries? How long are they going to be out? And are the 49ers I think the 49ers will be fine, but I think people are going to be like, no, I need to see the 49ers win a game without them before I believe they can. So I think next week's line, whoever the 49ers play, the 49ers are very deflated right now. I'm like, don't get it twisted. Cleveland is very good, and the 49ers will be all right but this is the time now. How good is Brock Purdy? It's Kyle Shanahan. It's CMC. It's Debo. It's the weapons. It's the offensive line. Now we got a very good situation if you're Brock Purdy and you want to prove to the world that I am the reason this team is put together. Not that he would do it in an arrogant way, but to prove his worth to the team. And do you think that Brock Purdy is going to be able to lead the 49ers in the future weeks without their stars to victory?
I think he will. He just went up against a very, very good defense in Cleveland. They're so good, man, led by Myles Garrett. Like, they're just that good where they can make a team like the 49ers have us question the 49ers offense moving forward, and Brock Purdy. Man, huge losses with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, and especially Trent Williams. But you still have Brandon Ayuk there. You still got George Kittle there. The line is not solely dependent on Trent Williams. Like, they're still a good unit in general. I think Kyle Shanahan is a good enough coach to be able to coach through this, coach Brock Purdy, coach the entire team through this. I had two other notes for this. As good as the Cleveland's defense was, they still almost lost because they gave up enough of a run there at the end to give the Niners a chance on a game-winning field goal, 41 yards. Jake Moody missed it, and he had missed one prior. So that's 6 points off the board. If Jake Moody makes one of those two, might be a different ball game. The other one, Jim Schwartz, I believe is his name. Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns, has not ever lost to Kyle Shanahan, whether as a coordinator or as a head coach. Has not lost. That streak continues for
the
Jim
Achilles
Schwartz.
heels.
Yeah, that's the Achilles right there. Just like McVay, I think, hasn't lost to Shanahan, or Shanahan hasn't lost to McVay. One of those. The streak continues. So those are my last two notes on this game.
Love that. And, of course, CMC scoring a touchdown for the 15th consecutive game,
Woo!
including playoffs when he hauled in his 13-yard reception in the first quarter. The touchdown streak is tied for second longest. Rick, do you know who's got the current longest?
For the streak?
No, for your penis. Yeah, for the streak.
Well, my penis is me.
The longest?
Gale Sayers.
Gale Sayers. It's actually Hall of Famer Lenny Moore.
Oh,
Really,
he's got
really.
my dick. He's got my dick.
It was a week of records breaking. So let's just talk about another streak that ended. The streak that didn't end was Denver's win over the Chiefs. That streak didn't end. What streak did end was this is how I cope. This is how I cope. The streak that did end was CJ Stroud and his interception. But you know what? It doesn't matter because his cool play led the way for Houston to get a victory. I picked Houston in this game. I know you picked the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
I just love when I get one right to say that in a subtle way. I know that you took the Saints here, but I saw this one actually playing out for Houston. But I think CJ Stroud continues to impress people. I think New Orleans continues to be inconsistent, but I'm very, very surprised about how good defensively Houston is with a defensive back as a head coach. D'Amico Ryans he's got to be just a really, really amazing teacher. He has to be. He has transformed the Houston Texans so fast. What do you think? I'm going to ask you this question. Does this game say more about the Texans' potential or the fact that the Saints aren't in, a playoff year?
Texans' potential for sure. They are the most surprising team in the NFL to me personally. We were going into this year with a rookie quarterback, a rookie head coach, some weapons on offense, but a defense that I don't think was ranked very high or even mid-tier last year, if I'm not mistaken. So D'Amico Ryans came in and said, look, this is what I'm selling. You want to buy? Sick. We're going to win some games. We're going to do it with a rookie quarterback, and we're going to do it as a team. CJ Stroud earlier this year has said in post-game interviews, I want to be able to make people walking down the streets of Houston wearing Texans gear proud to be a fan of this team. That's exactly what this Texans team is doing because they're all buying into that part. And the defense is doing its part because the Texans, I think, started off 17-7. This game was 17-7. And then C.J. Stroud threw a couple picks, which, by the way, I called. No big deal. I called an interception. Sorry,
You
just one
didn't.
just one interception.
You
I
did
called
call
it.
that. You did call it. You
I
said the
did call
streak
it.
is going to end, but the Texans are going to get the win.
I
That's what
think
you said.
I think the
right?
Saints. I think I said the Saints are going to win. No,
I
or
thought you did, but after you reminded me about the streak ending.
No, I had the Saints. I had the Saints winning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's
But
keeping track. At
yeah,
least.
regardless, I think again, this says more about D'Amico Ryans and this team. They're like I said, they're buying what he's selling, and it's showing. They're 3-3. I thought they were going to be winless, maybe 1 or 2 wins. Like I really didn't think they were going to be at 500 at week 6. And this New Orleans team, I had them winning the division. They're 3-3 right now. I think they're still at the top of the NFC South. I think that whole division is just bad right now. I don't know what Derek Carr's doing, man. He was the guy who was supposed to come in, and I said it earlier last year during the offseason. They got Derek Carr, they're going to win the South. But he threw for 353 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, but he threw an interception that iced the game. He was going down the field, and he threw that interception. Game over, basically. Just kind of like what the Bears did with Bajent. Not going to go there again. Whatever. But Derek Carr threw the game-winning interception to the Texans. Could have gone down there, but he's must not be that guy, man. He's having a tough time. Alvin Kamara, 68 yards. Chris Olave with 96 yards. Rashid Shaheed with a touchdown and 85 yards and 2 receptions. Like, he's got weapons there, man. And the Saints, to me, were the more complete team in that South, NFC South, but they're just, I think they're really killing themselves at the end of the year, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to make the playoffs playing like this. After you shut out or embarrass the Patriots a couple weeks ago, like, come on.
I agree. And what do you think Josh McDaniels was right about Derek Carr in moving off of him? Maybe he does know what he's talking about? It didn't seem to make sense to a ton of people. That's the only reason I ask.
If Josh McDaniels knows what he's talking about, he has not shown it as a head coach. Yeah, he's got the Raiders looking pretty good, pretty tough team.
Because they beat the worst team in the NFL.
But other than that, like, he has made some bad decisions. Yeah, let's get rid of Waller because I don't like him or something. You know, like, what? You know what I mean? Let's cheat while I'm on the Broncos. Let's do that. That sounds like a good idea.
Right.
Josh McDaniels doesn't know it all, and he acts like he does. So I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Well, I'll end with the next gen stat of the day. Will Anderson Jr., Jerry Hughes, and Jonathan Greenard each generated 7 pressures in the Texans' win over the Saints. The Texans' 26 total pressures against the Saints are tied for the 3rd most. So you are seeing this Houston defense play inspired, and it's showing. Our next game, it's a game I was on the football field for.
Woo!
Up there, close and personal with Jonathan Taylor. At one point, he was right in front of me, man. It was crazy. They look way bigger in person. It was an amazing day. It was a day I'll never forget. Now let's talk about the game. The Jaguars are good. And the Jaguars are rolling. And I'm seeing a common thing with young quarterbacks not starting hot. Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence. Some say even Jalen Hurts hasn't been starting fast. They want to see some more. I don't think it's a great example, but yeah, it might just be that way where younger quarterbacks kind of build their confidence by week 6, and this is when they start rolling. Whatever the case is, Jacksonville looks really good. I mean, defensively, they played very well. I know they gave up 20 points here, but a lot of it was like late points. So I think the Jacksonville Jaguars still have a chance to go on a very long win streak. And I think if the defense is going to be the highlight of the team, then this is going to be a very deep playoff team. What do you think about that?
I agree. The defense, 4 turnovers, 17 points off those turnovers, whether it was a touchdown, a couple field goals there. The offense still scored 4 touchdowns, and they still didn't look great because even like you said, Trevor Lawrence starting off a little slow, only 181 yards, still 2 touchdown throws. Travis Etienne still had 2 touchdown rushes, right? 2 rushing touchdowns. Like, the offense didn't look amazing in terms of yardage. They were able to get things done because of the defense and what they were able to do to turn over the ball. They got the ball well into Colts territory, and they were able to score. Just because you don't see the yardage on the offense doesn't mean that they weren't killing it on both sides of the ball. They scored when they needed to because they had a very short field to work with, and the defense took the ball away 4 times from Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew, by the way. Love him. Love his look. Love when he came into the league. Former Jacksonville Jaguar quarterback. When he starts the game, man, he is rough. I think he's winless in starts and like 2-0 when he comes off the bench. His last few times that he's come off the bench. Something like that. Threw 3 picks. I think fumbled the ball. I think it was him or somebody else fumbled the ball. Yeah, it was Gardner Minshew who fumbled the ball. All 4 turnovers were from the starting quarterback. As the Colts, with Jonathan Taylor back, you are really, really hoping that Anthony Richardson is the guy, because what you're seeing from Gardner Minshew, it's tough. It's tough that you almost want what's his name? The other, like the 3rd string quarterback to come in to start. If Richardson's going to be out for a long period of time, you want what? Eichler? No, not Eichler. I forget his name. You almost want him to come in because of what Gardner Minshew's doing when he's starting. So rough day for Gardner Minshew. Zach Moss with another touchdown. Good for him, but passing game is suffering quite a bit.
This is one thing that I want to point out is that I put it up here. Gardner Minshew flops for first time in 2023. But the reason I say that is because in all of the other games that Minshew has come in, he's done enough to give the Colts a chance to win. Yep. I wonder if it's a little bit of, this revenge game maybe getting to his head. He used to play in this stadium. Maybe he wanted to have a really big game. But, man, after Sunday's 4 takeaway performance, the Jaguars took the NFL lead in takeaways. To me, this team is getting the ball. We have gone past small sample size. We have gone past inflated statistics. This Jacksonville team is taking the football away, and the offense hasn't been great, but Trevor Lawrence picked apart Indianapolis defense, completing 19 of 26 for 171 and 2 tuds when facing a pass rush of 4 or few. So when you don't bring that pressure to Trevor Lawrence, he is picking you apart defensively. So that tells you Trevor Lawrence is really good. And that defensive stat tells you that this defense is going to give more opportunities to the offense. I think the Jaguars might start rolling into a power football team, like a top 5.
Yeah, and I don't want to fail to mention this, that the Colts defense still looking pretty good. They only gave up, I think, like 233 yards of offense. But again, what killed him was those turnovers by Gardner Minshew, because he gave them such a short field for fucking Trevor Lawrence. And like you said, 4 fewer rushes. They're in the red zone, man, by the time they have the ball. So, of course, you're going to rush 4. You want to cover the end zone. So, don't want to take away too much from this Indianapolis Colts team, but the defense played well enough to look good. But, God, those turnovers were brutal.
Yeah, and speaking of brutal, the NFL not trying to give too many home games to Miami in September because it is brutal to play there. 70 points against Denver. Then they played the Giants at home, and I believe they smoked them. And then this week you said, I don't even want to see this game. 21-42 is your final score. Carolina did go up 14-0 in this game, but it's just another way to learn something about this offense, and that is that no lead is safe. And the Miami Dolphins are the 2018 Golden State Warriors. Changed my mind.
Well, they are definitely the fastest fucking team in
2015
in the NFL.
Golden State Warriors. 2015.
2015. Yeah. You're right. That was the most surprising part, was how good the Panthers looked in this first quarter. The defense held Miami scoreless in the first quarter for, I think, maybe the first time this year. I may be wrong about that, but that's just what it feels like. You know what I mean? That might not even be fact, but I just feel like the Dolphins, this is the first time they haven't scored in a quarter since the beginning of the season. That's what it feels like to me. But very impressive for the Panthers to do what they did. Bryce Young looked really good. 23 for 38, 217 yards and a tud. Chuba Hubbard, 88 yards rushing for a touchdown. Good job by the Panthers. But then the Miami Dolphins said, oh, fuck, we haven't scored in the first quarter. Damn, that's crazy. All right, let's step it up, guys. Let's step it up. They're missing Devon Achane, but Raheem Mostert said, hey, guys, remember me? Yeah, I'm back. 115 yards, 2 touchdowns. Salvon Ahmed even got in there and got a touchdown. You got Tyreek Hill scoring. You got Waddle doing the waddle for a touchdown. Raheem Mostert caught a touchdown. Tua, 3 touchdowns and 262 yards, dude. This team is just unfucking stoppable. And the defense shut them out for 2 quarters, let a fucking garbage time touchdown in the fourth happen. What else do you want me to say about the Dolphins other than they are fucking elite, dude?
I want you to say that they almost lost to New England, that they lost to Buffalo. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's the NFL, and this is the point. It's not like, okay, Miami's a powerhouse, and Buffalo beat them, so Buffalo should destroy the Giants.
1 + 1
equals 100. Nobody understands what's going on out there, least the people that are involved in all of this. But let's talk about something we do know, and that's what I was saying about Bryce Young, was that he is not very good, and I don't think he pans out. But I'm going to say that he took another small step forward.
Agreed.
It was not a win, but he did lead touchdown drives of 7 and 10 plays, capping the second with a pretty touchdown pass to Adam Thielen. And you saw a little bit of, hey, maybe we can get a guy in here. I'm not going to jump onto that right now. But Bryce Young, he did some things. But like I said, this Miami defense is not that great. So what do you think about it?
Miami defense is doing enough, man. And they're really one of those teams where I've kind of said it, how the NFL has shifted over these last few years, where if you have an offense that's scoring 35 plus, who gives a fuck what your defense is doing? You want a couple playmakers, sure, to maybe get a turnover to seal the deal, but who gives a shit about your defense? That's kind of what Miami's in right now, and the fact that they gave up 21 to the Panthers is a little bit like, didn't you just shut out whoever you just shut out, right? Like, it's a little concerning, but the offense is just going to be way too good. Oh, Devon Achane is out. Cool. Raheem Mostert. Oh, when Raheem Mostert isn't on the field, guess what? Salvon Ahmed, a third string running back, is going to score. And then when they get Devon Achane back, watch out. Like, they're just so damn good, dude. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. You can't go anywhere up and down this lineup with Tua. Like, you can't go anywhere without being like playmaker. 2015 Golden State Warriors. You're 100% correct.
And we mentioned how great Tyreek Hill is shortly. I put up, it sure is nice to have Tyreek. And look at this. And then we'll move on. 98 of Tyreek Hill's 163 receiving yards came on in-breaking routes, a category in which he led the NFL in yards and receiving. EPA, which is expected passing yards, entering week 6. So Tyreek, man, that just goes to show what he's been able to do with his speed. And man, he is such a weapon, dude. I just want to say it. Tyreek Hill, the record that he wanted to do, he's going to do it.
Yep.
I think so too. He's going to accomplish what he wanted to do. And to me, that makes it so much cooler because he called it. And Mike McDaniel looks like Kyle Shanahan. And their offenses have a lot of similarities with pre-motion before the snap. And the speed, it does seem like if Miami's having a good day, they can win a Super Bowl, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And when you think about Tyreek Hill, he is that piece that wins you the Super Bowl. But when he was in Kansas City, they won after him. So I really think looking back on this trade decision, it was a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill gets a chance to prove that he can win a Super Bowl on his back with Tua. I don't want to get anything taken away from Tua here.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes had an opportunity to prove that he can do it without Tyreek. And I do think I would never have this conversation about any receiver besides Tyreek Hill. And that's how good Tyreek Hill is. So moving on to our next game, we had
Real quick.
Yes.
Quick. Sorry, I want to give you the best stat line of this game. Ready?
Yeah.
Mike White, backup quarterback, 0 for 1 in completions and attempts, 1 interception, pick 6.
Get out.
All right, we can move on.
Have you seen Due Date?
Yeah.
Where he's like, the beard, get him out of here when he makes coffee with his dad's ashes. He's like drinking the coffee. He's like, oh, it tastes like shit. And then he's like, it shouldn't. I used the coffee that you guys brought over, which had his dad's ashes in it.
Oh, no.
And he goes, that's his father. And he goes, his father's in the coffee can? No, his ashes. His father's ashes are in the And then he spits the coffee out and goes,
God.
Fuck it, the beard, the dog, get out.
Get out.
that was my White's going to the sideline right there.
100%. I loved it.
Due Date, one of my favorite movies of all time. So check it out if you haven't seen it out there. New England taking on the Raiders, or you could say the Raiders taking on their old coach, Josh McDaniels. You get what I'm trying to say. It was a revenge game, and New England was not able to get the job done. I did think that the Raiders would win this game. No, I picked the Patriots to bounce back in this game. But I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen in this game. Like, I'll just admit it. This was a game I didn't love, and it was one that I wanted to stay far away from. But what did you think about this game?
Max Crosby is a fucking animal, dude. Max Crosby. We've talked about him on the show before. Max Crosby is an absolute animal. 7 tackles plus a sack of Mac Jones for a safety to ice the game. Like, incredible. This guy is an animal, and if you saw quarterbacks, you saw how much of a nuisance he was to Mahomes. Pushing him, punching him, every once in a while, even though he got the ball out. So he's a pest. But you respect it because of how good he is. If he was just a pest and he was a dog shit player, like you wouldn't be like, you'd be like, all right, Max Crosby, who cares? Dude, this guy had 7 tackles in the sack there in for a safety. Really good. New England, surprisingly, put up 17 points, man. You got to give it to him. Ramondre Stevenson, Ezekiel Elliott, the running game was on point. Maybe that's the recipe for success in New England. Run the goddamn ball, Bill. Run the damn ball. But you're not going to go every day up against a Raiders defense that, let's just be honest, like, isn't great. Max Crosby is the star there for that defense. But this is their second win in a row for the Raiders, man. They're 3-3 now. They're looking good in that AFC West. I don't know about playoffs. I don't know about that because you still got the Chargers, even though they just lost and go to 2-3. But they look a lot better. The Raiders are a team that I had last in the division. They're looking okay. Even with Brian Hoyer at quarterback, he came in through 100 yards. Jimmy G obviously got the touchdown before he got injured later in that game. But Brian Hoyer came in, threw 100 yards, was able to manage it. That's what Brian Hoyer is, and I think that's why they got him. Aiden O'Connell, I thought, was going to come in, the rookie. But Brian Hoyer, game manager, they said, you know what, you got the experience, go win us this game. He ended up winning the game, man. I mean, it was really on Max Crosby in that defense, but when you go up against New England and Mac Jones, I think you're going to have a pretty good day on defense.
And I've seen what bad offense looks like for the last couple of years now. Mm-hmm. It was for a while, but I know what it's like. And that's why I wrote right here, nothing is easy for the Patriots, because look at this, man. When they really needed to start scoring, they had to go on a 17-play drive to get a touchdown that lasted 9 minutes and 30 seconds to make it a 2-point game. And that is the thing. There's no explosiveness. It's all 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, a lot of third downs, and that's fine. But it does show you have to go on a 17 play 10-minute drive to get a touchdown. You have no explosiveness
No.
in the game. So offensively, there's no threat. There's nobody downfield that you're like, oh my god, Devontae Parker's amazing. He actually, there was the final attempt to take the lead late. Mac Jones threw the best ball of 2023 to Devontae Parker, and he dropped it.
He dropped it.
If the Pats were better, but they still weren't good enough. They were better than last week, 17 points better than last week, but they weren't good enough, and their offense doesn't have any juice to it. It's boring, and that is why I accidentally fell asleep in the car watching this game.
By the way, Jacoby Myers out receiving Devontae Adams, out gaining him yards wise, getting a touchdown over him. Jacoby Myers looking good, and this was, I think, another revenge game, not only for McDaniels, not only for Jimmy G, but Jacoby Myers was on the Patriots not too long ago. I think it was last year, so he got his touchdown against his former team.
Do you think it was personal?
100%.
It's personal. It's personal.
Personal.
Well, do you have anything else for this game?
Nope. Bill Belichick. See ya.
All right, so we'll move on to another game that I'm actually excited to talk about. It is
Oh no.
It is the Detroit Lions
Yeah.
getting a win over Tampa Bay, and the reason I think this game is huge is because this game, now if they would have beaten, let's say, New England, let's say they beat them 40-13, okay? To me, the game right here tells me more about Detroit winning by 14. Tampa Bay is not a bad team. They have been winning most of their football games. They did lose to the Eagles, right? But it wasn't like they got blown out or anything. I think Detroit even won by a bigger margin than Tampa did. So to me, when I look at this game, I'm like, man, you lose your star running back who is the hottest player in the league in Montgomery.
Yep.
And you still find a way to get a win on the road in this type of game. It shows that they can handle adversity and get the win. What did you think?
I love the Lions defense. I fucking love them. Baker Mayfield, I don't know if you knew this, came into this game after a bye week as the most efficient quarterback on third down. And the Lions defense held him to 2 for 12 on third downs. You said this says more about the Lions. 100% correct. This defense is no fucking joke, and they're going to keep rolling, man. This Lions team has 5 wins. I think this ties the most wins they've had in the first 6 weeks since like 2011 or 2012, whatever it was, when Stafford was a Lion. This team is good. You said it. They're down Montgomery. They're down Jahmyr Gibbs. And Jared Goff is still like, you know what? I'm still Jared fucking Goff, and I'm going to throw for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, because guess what? I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. I have Jameson Williams down there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 124 yards receiving in a touchdown. Like, great. And David Montgomery, well, we're going to get Craig Reynolds in here to rush the ball. Yeah, he only got 15 yards. The rushing game wasn't great for the Lions. But why do you need a great running game when Jared Goff is just fucking zip, 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 zip down the field? The Bucks could have made this a game. Baker Mayfield, like I said, came in, third down efficiency, best quarterback in the league to do it. Missed long to his rookie. I think it was Palmer. His name was Palmer. Trey Palmer. Missed deep twice. He just overthrew him, man. He had him wide open, overthrew him, could have made this a game. Those 2 plays right there, they change a game completely. Because now you're 45 yards down the field trying to score, make this game. I'm surprised the Lions only beat them by 14 points. Honestly, they probably could have beat them by more. It could be a 30-6 game, to be honest. But they beat them 20-6. The Lions are the truth, and they're one of the best teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and the craziest part of this whole thing to me when discussing how good the Lions are is that like you said, I agree with everything. The Lions defense definitely sent a message. I think that message has been sent now 6 weeks in a row. But they continue to send that message. But let's talk about this. The Lions extended their NFL best streak and franchise record long streak by producing 20 or more points for the 15th straight game.
Wow.
That is called consistency. That is why Brad Holmes, I believe, or Brad Johnson will be the Chicago Bears head coach next year. That is why the Detroit Lions are going to go into the playoffs for the first time in 20 years, I believe.
Ben Johnson.
Yeah. Brad Holmes is the GM.
Mm-hmm.
See, we just know all the team's GMs and we confuse them with offensive coordinators sometimes. It's not a big deal. Anyway, yeah, the Lions are really, really good, and there's not a weakness on their team. Might be the best team in the NFC.
Might be.
I didn't say NFC North.
I know you said might be NFC. Oh, I heard that loud and clear. Baker Mayfield, dude. We love him. We love what he did last year when he came to the Rams and was able to bring him down all the way for a touchdown score in Thursday Night Football. And I love Baker as a football guy, but the Bears made him look really good. That's all I got to say. The Bears made him look really good. And
you want to date Baker Mayfield?
I think so, yeah.
You love him as a guy?
I love him. I love him as a friend. You know, I just want to hug him and be like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be a rough go for Baker here on out with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. I think Tampa Bay still ends up with around a 500 record. This defense is really good. Baker not able to get points 3 times in the red zone. Twice they had to get a field goal. One time they got a turnover. Moving on to a new game that took place in LA where the Rams took on the Arizona. Now, this was a don't touch it for me. Okay, Now this game was totally a wild card. It was a game where I think the spread, they had the Rams winning by 4.5. That was something that I was like, I'm not that confident in that. If it goes down to 2.5, maybe you take the Rams. But because of the 4.5, it's like Arizona is too much of a wild card. Dobbs is too much of a wild card. Yeah. And this game was kind of close, and at least at the first half. But I think the main thing was that the Rams remembered to run the ball in the second half. Yeah. And Los Angeles logged only 3 carries the first half. What's your takeaway?
How nice must it be for Matthew Stafford now to be like, wow, I have a run game. I don't have to do this all on my own. It's nice to have Kyren Williams rush for 158 yards and a score. Like, Matthew Stafford must be like, damn, this is what it's like to have a run game. Because ever since he got to L.A., it's been Cam Akers just being not productive at all, and him having to do everything with Cooper Kupp. They won a Super Bowl with that, sure. But the years after, this is the second year after their Super Bowl, it's been a rough go. But this year, 3-3, they get rid of Cam Akers. They said, you know what? We're tired of believing in you. You're not going to be that guy for us. He's even struggling in Minnesota. Regardless, Kyren Williams had a fucking day. 158 yards rushing. 154, 56 of those came in the second half because, like you said, oh, yeah, we have Kyren Williams. We actually have a run game. Let's do that. Cooper Kupp still caught 148 yards and a score. Matthew Stafford still passed for 226 yards. The first half was 9-6. Arizona, the defense for the Rams stepped up, left them scoreless in the entire second half. Joshua Dobbs, early season, surprise, oh my God, they're actually pretty good. They won a game. They beat this team. Joshua Dobbs and the Cardinals look like they can put some scare into this. They got the biggest one was James Conner, sorry. Losing James Conner was a huge blow to this team. Joshua Dobbs was the leading rusher in this game with 47 yards. Damian Williams, Ingram, DeMarcado. DeMarcado had a good week last week, and a lot of people picked him up in fantasy. Only 11 yards. When you have Joshua Dobbs, your quarterback, who also has 235 passing yards in this game, as your leading rusher, that's a recipe for just disaster. James Conner was a huge hit to this offense, but you got to give credit to this LA Rams defense. They really shut them down in that second half. They're looking scary good. Too bad Seattle's there because I don't think the Rams can get past Seattle or the 49ers.
Ooh, I do think the Rams are going to compete at the same level for the Seahawks. That's where I'm
Okay.
at right now. But
Okay.
the one good thing though, you got Dobbs. You talked about how he's kind of a wild card, but he's also very inexperienced, and I think that is why the Rams, their defense generated pressure on 23 of 46 dropbacks, 50% of the dropbacks.
Yeah.
The Rams had pressure. That's the unit's highest pressure rate in a game this season. So I do think that was part of the game plan to try to get after and rattle the quarterback, and it worked, and they got the job done. So moving on, my dad, he remarried, and her name's Jocelyn, and her sister Jackie. They were at this game. I saw it when I was driving back. They posted it on their story. They were having a great time. So you can imagine whose side they were on. They had a blast. I just found out they were Jets fans. I had no idea. No, I had no clue. I was like, wow, you guys go hard. So man, what a fun game to be at. I mean, for the Jets, this game was the Super Bowl. This was such a high point. I'm just going to ask you straight up, is this the highest high the Jets will have all year?
Dude, I don't know, man. The Jets, we wrote them off. I know I wrote them off. I know I wrote the Jets off as soon as they lost that week 2 game and Zach Wilson. I was like, Zach Wilson looks like shit. He's not going to do anything. He's not the guy. And look, it's not like he's balling out 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, this and that.
That's a pretty good stat line.
Yeah, but he's not doing that. That's what I'm saying.
I know.
He's not. Okay. I was like, no, he's not doing that. This defense is just good for the Jets, and they have been for the second year in a row under Salah. And at 3-3, you're beating the 5-1 Eagles, and you get a score there at the end. Like, dude, the Jets might be back. They just really need Zach Wilson to play a lot better. Breece Hall had a touchdown, but they were only, I think, held to over 250 yards, something like that. Eagles, man, this one hurts. And not only hurts the verb or the noun or whatever the hell it is. I don't know. I didn't go to school. Jalen Hurts. This one was all on Jalen Hurts. 3 interceptions in this game. He has 7 on the year now, and I think he had 6 all of last year, something like that. He went over. 3 interceptions against this team, man, and some of them were very, very bad. I don't know if he's not seeing the ball correctly because, I mean, A.J. Brown's out there. Devontae Smith is still out there. He's still got all his weapons out there. I don't know what the issue might be with Jalen Hurts, but the defense did its job, really. When you look at it, those 3 turnovers aren't something to just be like, oh, yeah, it's totally on the defense for letting up this loss. Jalen Hurts had a rough game. I don't know. I really don't know what to say about this game other than I think Philly lost it. I don't really think the Jets won the game. I really think Philly lost it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but the Jets defense is elite. So I do want to point out that they are responsible for Philly's bad day at the office. Mm-hmm. And I do think that shouldn't get lost. And the whole Zach Wilson thing, like, you know how I feel about it. I've been saying when, you have a mentor mm-hmm. that is a Hall of Famer, it rubs off on people. Mm-hmm. And you are seeing Zach Wilson confidence-wise feel like I can win these games. I mm-hmm. can go in there and win the game. And the defense, they forced a lot of turnovers. And that's why the Eagles lost. It was because of the defense for the Jets. But credit Zach Wilson because he didn't make the same mistakes back. And that's kind of why the Eagles lost. And actually, the Eagles lost negative 81.8 in win probability across 4 turnovers. Wow. The Jets scored 11 points off their turnovers. So, I mean, only 11 points, but still. I mean, I know they're saying it like it's a good thing. They scored on 2 of them. Looks like a touchdown and a 2-point conversion and a field goal. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's not, 28 points. It's not like
Yeah.
oh my God, what is Zach Wilson doing out there? It's not like that. But that's what you need. You need 11 points after turnovers to win the game. That defense is so good that you don't have to do too much to get a win.
Yeah, and Lane Johnson went out with an injury in this game, which I think he had not given up a sack at all. And when he went out, you saw those pressures on Jalen Hurts, which led to bad decisions. The Eagles didn't score on their last 7 possessions in this game. That's not what Philly does. They didn't score in the entire second half. That's just not what Philly does. So, to me, I still think Philly lost the game. Obviously, the Jets defense, what they were able to do off those turnovers, credit to them for sure. But I think Philly at the end of the day just kind of lost this game.
All right, moving on to our next game, we enter, Bill, plug your ears. Sunday Night Football. The New York Giants had a chance late in the game. Some questionable pass interference there in the end zone. We'll talk about that. But what's your takeaway from this one? We know that we were pretty high on Buffalo after beating Miami, and then I actually predicted that this would be a really close game, and Saquon Barkley being in the game is the difference. Did I predict the Giants to win or just play close? I think I said play close. I hope I didn't say that they were going to lose, but I think remember. I remember you laughing at me, but you always laugh. Like anytime like it could be any game. I think I did take the Jets to beat Philly.
You did
that I know for a fact.
No. You said the 49ers were going to be beaten by
Cleveland.
You said the Eagles were going to be the only team left unbeaten. So you took the Eagles, actually. Because I remember at the end.
Maybe we hadn't gotten to Philly. I think I did say that, but we hadn't gotten to the Philly game yet. And then
no, we got into the Philly because at the end when you said, oh no, that was at the beginning. Maybe we hadn't gotten to Philly. Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe
I'll send the clip. Yeah, Bill, let us know in the chat who's right. I'm just kidding. Don't leave. I'm kidding. Tyrod Taylor wasn't perfect by any stretch. Give me your feedback on this game.
Wow, man, this one was one that I feel like a lot of people outside of the Bills organization wanted for Tyrod Taylor because he managed the game pretty nicely for the Giants. Like he was getting, throws off, like he was looking good. The Bills defense was just so good. Von Miller was back, obviously putting some pressure there. The Bills and Josh Allen. What the fuck happened, dude? It's like they were still in London. It's like they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna not score until the fourth quarter. We're gonna not even sniff the fucking end zone until the fourth quarter. Like, what happened? For 3 straight quarters, it just seemed like we were watching, I don't know, the Bears and the fucking Panthers. I felt like that's what we were watching, offensive wise, right? New York Giants. We're leading in halftime 6-0. If you would have told me that, a week ago, prior to going into this game, I'd be like, you're fucking insane. Even after the London game that the Bills had. Insane. Tyrod Taylor, again, not great. 200 yards, making some good throws. Saquon Barkley, 93 on the ground. Darius Slayton had 69 yards. Nice. Catching. But at the end of the day, man, 2 touchdowns from Josh Allen in the fourth quarter. That's a 1-14-9. The Bills defense, like I said, though, held them at the 1-yard line. Held them, dude. And I mean, Saquon wanted this touchdown. They ran it down the middle. Bills defense said, nope, absolutely no scores. No touchdowns led up by this defense, just field goals. And just like Bill said here in the comments, what he say? If those were field goals, we win. Just saying, 100% correct. End of second quarter, Tyrod Taylor, and this is where fucking, I think Dable was having a tough time. Tyrod Taylor audibled out of a pass play with about 12, 15 seconds left into a run. What happened? They could not get back to the line quick enough to get another playoff. That's how the second half ended. At the 1-yard line. They ended the second half at the 1-yard line and couldn't get a playoff. Dable was fuming on the sidelines. Fuming. But I thought,
You should be. His
100%.
job's on the line.
Yeah, he's yelling at his offensive coordinator. He's yelling at Tyrod when he gets back to the line. It's like, dude, that's a pass play. Look at the time we have left. So he fucked up there. Tyrod fucked up there. He couldn't. He just could not recover from that. If that's a field goal, totally different game. Giants might even have a win against the Bills.
Yeah, the Giants defensively really deserve to get the win. And it's kind of a shame that it didn't result in a win. And that to me talks a lot about the Giants offensively. Like, yeah, it came down to a really bad play. We'll get there. But this shouldn't have even been the Giants should have won this game. They should have absolutely won this game. Everything went right for them. Josh Allen was 8 of 18 and 87 yards, a 36.1% passer rating in the first half. The defense was swarming. They forced 2 turnovers in this game. There was plenty of opportunities for the Giants to get this win, and it just kind of sucks when one of your units, defense or offense, puts together an elite, performance, and it goes wasted. It's pretty disappointing if you're a Giants fan, because it's kind of like the Chiefs Broncos game. It was like 9 to whatever it was. It was 9 to, I already blocked it out
like
of my memory.
20 to 9 or 17.
It was like an 11-point win, but
yeah,
we kept the Chiefs under 20 points.
Yeah.
Like, you got to win that game.
Yeah.
And the Giants had something similar happen. But do you think this is a big step forward defensively, or a bad day at the office for Buffalo?
For Buffalo, their defense is showing that, hey, we're still a top unit. The offense, I don't know what happens, man, but I feel like every season the Bills go through this. Is like they have these 2 weeks of offense where you're just like, Josh Allen, what are you doing? Or the offensive coordinator, what are you guys doing exactly? Where's the cohesion? Where's this offense? Where's the I don't know. Where's the spark for this offense? And Josh Allen luckily was able to throw those 2 touchdowns to get the win, but it looked rough. As far as the Giants, and I want to get to Bill's comment here, Bobby Okereke, great game by him. 11 stops, 8 solo, 1 forced fumble. I wanted the Bears to get him, and he's paying off in New York. Dude, he was all over the field for the Giants defensively. The star, 100%, like Bill's saying, star of the game for the Giants defense. The entire defense, though, for the Giants is very good, at least in this game. The offense is obviously rough, even with Saquon there. It's tough to get going against a very tough Bills defense, especially at the goal line, when you expect the guy who squats 1,000,000 pounds to get there at the 1 yard line to break through for a touchdown. The defense is going to be good, I think, for the Giants. They have Thibodeau there. They have Okereke. They got all these guys. The offense is struggling, man. And if Danny Dimes isn't the guy, Bill, I'm sorry, but you are in for a hell of a rebuild.
Oh, I don't know if rebuild.
Yeah.
Is this is how it goes sometimes, in the NFL. Like, if you're losing, it's time to rebuild. But I think in the Giants' case, they just need Saquon Barkley. This is how the Giants play when they have Saquon Barkley. That's why they win 70% of their games that Saquon Barkley's healthy. It's like it might be 67%. I don't know, but it's way more or way less than when Saquon's not playing. So I think right off the bat, like, Saquon staying healthy has got to be really important for the Giants to, try to turn their season around, because this game, what it showed me was that this isn't the Giants, or we haven't seen the Giants this year play to their full potential, even defensively, what they were able to do. And even when you talk about defensively, how much they stepped up, there were 2 tackles for a lot, Okereke. Why am I, dude? I've always gotten Okereke. Okay, Okereke. He had a tackle for a loss, 2 tackles for a loss, and he's the reason that the Bills were forced into a bad field goal, and they missed it with 1:25 left to keep the game you know what I mean, the victory in sight, because this game was pretty close, right? So if they would have gotten the field goal, then they needed a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, like the chance of winning. But defensively, they make some tackles for a loss. The Bills missed the field goal. Because I know Bill talked. He said that who missed the field goal? He said if we would have took field goals, we could have won.
Yeah.
But there was also 2 missed field goals from Buffalo as well. So it's just something to keep in mind. I do think that this could be kind of a more morale boosting game, even though it could maybe do the opposite. Remember when Cleveland played the Golden State Warriors and they were the famous year where JR didn't know how much time there was?
Yeah,
and he took the ball. Yeah. Well, it was like LeBron did everything he could to win that game for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they lost. And then it was after that game they got swept. Right. Yeah. So sometimes when you have your most amazing performance and you come up short, it's so deflating that it can destroy you. But I think in this case, it's going to help the Giants. I think it's going to build their confidence moving forward. And for the Bills, Stephon Diggs finished with a reception on 8 different routes while accounting for a season-high 65.5% of the Bills' air yards. He also had his highest target rate in any game this season. And I think this really just leans into when things aren't going great for Buffalo, they are trying to get the ball to their best player, Stephon Diggs. And I love that, because how many times have we been like, why don't they get Darren Waller involved? Why don't they get Kyle Pitts and Drake London involved? At least the Bills, when they're struggling, know where to go with the football.
So I'm glad you brought that up. And I think that while it may have been his highest target rate in a game this season, I think in the first half, that is what led the Bills to not get any points on the board, dude. They were trying to force feed Stephon Diggs. And I get it. Get it to your best player, which Stephon Diggs is. You can make an argument for Davis, right? Gabe Davis. But dude, it was like, we're going to Stephon Diggs whether he's in double coverage, triple coverage. And to some players, that ain't shit. That's really nothing compared to like some other second, third tier wide receivers, right? But he was not making plays on the passes. They were overthrown. They were at the ground. Like, I get it. Get it to your best guy, and we will say that, and I will say that until the day I die. But I think that was a hindrance to the Bills in the first half.
The day you die, you're going to be like, give it to your best player.
Yep, because I'm hoping I die on the football field. That's a football guy right there. But no, I think that was a hindrance in the first half, was trying to force feed Stephon Diggs too much. And I know the way that sounds, but I really do think at the end of the day that was a hindrance.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll see where the Giants move forward from this, and we'll see what's going on with Josh Allen and if they're able to bounce back. We did our Monday Night Football recap. If you haven't seen that, definitely go ahead and check that out. But this was our Week 6 predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Recap coming to you live from Studio A, where the A stands for Anonymous.
Ass. All right. All right, Kyle. Hopefully you guys liked our recap and, Kyle saying predictions instead. But let's get into our next segment. Running back of the week. Kyle loved it. Running back of the week. Kyle enjoyed that. Let me just make a quick little thing here. Kyle, do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I'll go first. I'm going to go first today because
Queen.
I got one that is just not what you would expect from this segment.
Okay.
For 2 reasons, and you'll know right away. CMC.
Oh.
CMC is my running back of the week.
I know why, though.
The 49ers not able to get the job done, and I think when it comes to proving value, and that's why I said this is the second reason you're going to think it's dumb, is because CMC is paid, and the whole point of the segment is to encourage people to pay their running backs. Mm-hmm. However, San Francisco did pay their running back, but it did show how valuable he is when San Francisco lost a game to a backup quarterback without him in the game. If
Yep.
you need to find an example of a running back that makes the difference between winning and losing that has a high salary, look no further than your San Francisco 49ers.
Love it. Love the pick. And he extended his streak, too. He did extend the touchdown streak.
Yes. And of course, extending the touchdown streak was huge.
Huge. All right. My first running back of the week is going to go to Dolphins running back, Raheem Mostert. There was a lot of talk about Devon Achane, and yes, he's great, but he was injured. Raheem Mostert, like I said earlier, came into this game and said, hey, remember me? Oh, yeah, I'm just going to go off for 115 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and a receiving touchdown, just adding to that offense in Miami, making the run game unstoppable for the Miami Dolphins. That is my first running back of the week. Kyle, did you have another one, or would you like me to go with my second?
No, I have another one. My second running back of the week is Josh Jacobs.
Ooh.
Josh Jacobs was struggling mightily. I saw a statistic that showed that he was averaging, I think, 2.3 yards per carry, which was 31st in the NFL. Burt Berger, whichever one, you know that I was, it's not that I was thinking for sure Jacobs was going to take off, but I did think that this was the prime time for him to, advance in his career.
Mm-hmm.
You know the Lil Wayne interview with Katie Couric?
No.
I'm Gangsta Katie. You don't know that one?
No.
You have to watch that one. She's like, what do
Okay.
you mean when you say you're gangster? He's like, that means I'm going to do what I want until I die. And if I can't do that, then I'll just die. And I was like, oh my God. I love this guy. But anyway, she asked him at one point in the interview. She was like, why did it take so long? And he said, for me, it's the perfect time. And that's how I felt about Josh Jacobs going into this year. It was the perfect time going into year 6. He's a veteran now. But he hasn't been great this year, but just call it what it is. So against New England, he was projected for 25 carries, 117 yards, and 9 touchdowns last week. And he faced the Packers, and he ran for 20 carries, 69 yards, and 1 touchdown. Not great either, right? But I really think when you lose your quarterback and Jimmy G hurts his back and things aren't going well, all of a sudden you look around, who's the leader of this team? You don't have a quarterback to get the ball to Devontae Adams. What you do have is Josh Jacobs. And
Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Yeah. And I think if that offensive line is, so they're not elite by any means, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Then what do you want him to do, man? What do you really want this guy to do? If you're watching these games and you're looking at it, there's nowhere for him to go. It's not Josh Jacobs. It's really not. But I do think when they needed a leader for the Raiders to be able to win this game, he was there to do it, and he got the job done. He had, against the Patriots, he had 25 attempts for 77 yards. That shows you they're feeding him a lot of carries. He's had 20 carries against the Packers, 17 against the Chargers, 17 against the Steelers, 9 against the Bills, 19 against the Broncos. Now he's in the 25. That's more than he's had. He had more yards than he's had in any game this season, and his averages went up to 3.1. Really, he was averaging negative 0.2 against the Bills, and that brings his whole, average down to the 2s. But for the 4th week in a row, he's averaging over 3 yards a carry, and he still got 2 receptions for 16 yards. He was the reason the Raiders were able to win this game, running back of the week.
Love it. My next one is a guy in L.A. Is it Cam Akers, Kyle? No, it's not Cam Akers. What's his name?
Cam Akers.
Kyron Williams for
Kyron
the
Williams.
L.A. Rams. Making Matthew Stafford wish he had him earlier in his career. Kyren Williams, 20 carries, 158 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. 150 plus of those yards came in the second half. Kyren Williams is my other running back of the week. When you make it easy on a future Hall of Famer, Matthew Stafford, and you make the Rams a formidable team to go up against, you get running back of the week. Kyren Williams, running back of the week, Kyle.
You know what I mean about the Josh Jacobs one, though? No, I'm kidding.
All right, Kyle, let's move on to probably, I would say, one of our favorite segments and one that gets a lot of, I think, hate between the two of us. Or not hate, but we're really like,
we
get a lot of like.
I don't get really mad. We get defensive of our own posture.
Argumentative. All right, yeah. Argumentative. We'll call it that. Let's move on to the next one.
Top 5, no debating. Top 5, top 5, top 5.
Top 5, top 5, top 5.
Top 5. I love this segment, man. I really do think that this segment is one of our best segments. I think it gets the most clicks, too, when you look at these thumbnails. We got a lot of people that love this segment, and that's because they want to know if their team is in our top 5. And, hey, I'll tell you right now, my team's not in my top 5, and neither is Rick's, so maybe yours is.
Dude, they have a win.
Stop it.
100% though, and if you're an NFL fan, first of all, you just love power rankings, and you love when other people power rank other teams because, again, you hope your team is in the top 5, and that's why we do this. Top 5, top 5, top 5. So, Kyle, I think did you go first last week or did I go first?
I think you went first last week. So
all right,
I
so
will
Kyle,
go first.
Who's number 5 on your top 5?
Number 5 on my list is the team with more offensive yards than any other team in history through 6 weeks of football, and that's the Miami Dolphins.
Wow.
They're not doing great defensively, but I do think with Vic Fangio, I trust to get it done. He's going to continue to improve defensively, and Jalen Ramsey eyeing an early return back to football.
Shit.
And when that happens, all this team's going to do is climb.
I like it. I feel like they're a little too low. My number 5.
Wow, too low.
The Kansas City Chiefs. They extend their streak against Kyle's Broncos. I'm sorry to bring it up, Kyle. They're winning. The Chiefs are doing what the Chiefs have done for the last 6 years, and then that's win. Maybe 4 or 5 years. That's all they do is win, dude. All I do is win, no matter what. And it's cool to have not only the Chiefs and my number 5, but the Dolphins and Tyreek Hill, right? Like they're sharing their number 5 spot here. So my number 5 is the Chiefs. Kyle, who do you have at number 4?
You're so mean, dude.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry.
I'm not even telling you. Take it back.
All right, tell the viewers. Tell the viewers, not me. Tell the viewers.
I got Cleveland at number 4.
Fuck you.
I got Cleveland at number 4.
You.
Why?
You're insane. All right, go ahead.
Why am I insane? Can you please tell me?
You have the Browns in your top 5 because of their defense. I'll tell you this much. Deshaun Watson and PJ Walker have not done enough offensively in their last 2 games to even warrant a top 10.
Okay, so the Browns do have the best defense in the NFL. Okay. This is kind of how.
I mean, if that's it.
No, that's not it. It's the fact that they don't have Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is, last time we saw him playing at a high level, the second best quarterback in the NFL or third, whatever. He'll replace Justin Herbert. He'll take the number 5 spot. That's how good he is. So yeah, the number 1 defense in the NFL with a top 5 quarterback. What is there not to love about this pick? Cleveland is going to continue to improve. This is a team I would not want to play. I think they'll beat almost anybody they play this year.
I don't get it. They're 3-2. They're.
They're not the record.
I know. But that's what I'm saying though. They have a winning record. I can see why you would pick them because
No,
they're on 3-2.
I'm saying
they have a top defense.
No, I'm saying they're not the record. Like 3-2 is not that great. The Browns are great, but their record's not great.
I just don't think the Browns. I think their defense is fucking the best defense in the NFL. I just don't think that should warrant a whatever top 5 pick. Anyway, my number 4.
Does beating the 49ers count for anything? I mean they
counts,
did.
They get a win.
The Niners
get a win.
Go 16-0.
They get a
and
win.
And then they lost to Cleveland. What does that mean?
That's what it counts for. Is they get a win.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for like how the overall public views them. Like, does that win not like boost Cleveland?
Look, record-wise, it boosts them. I just don't think you could be like, oh man, they had such a convincing win with PJ Walker not throwing for a fucking touchdown and their running backs not doing anything either. It's like that whole team offensively looks bad, and Stefanski is supposed to be an offensive guy, isn't he?
Yeah, okay, so Cleveland right now is ranked a little bit lower in some of the power rankings I'm looking up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or higher, I mean. But that's why I don't like looking online, because I'm telling you, sometimes the public opinion really gets kind of in the way of what we're actually seeing. They got Cleveland ranked at 7. This is what it said. The Browns pulled off the biggest upset of the week over the Niners. They did it without Deshaun Watson under center. If Watson can get rolling consistently once healthy, the Browns have the defense to make noise. This is literally everything I just said. I didn't look this up until right now.
But
I'm not crazy.
But they haven't gotten the offense rolling, and they're third.
They don't have their quarterback.
Exactly. So
he
looked good when we did see him. The best ability is availability.
He didn't look bad when we saw him. He looked better than last year. We even said Deshaun Watson's back to his old form. You said that week 2.
I'm just saying. Best availability is ability. Best ability is availability. Deshaun Watson.
He could have played in this game.
Not available.
He could have played in this game, and they decided not to. They said we can beat 49ers with our backup. That's how good this defense is.
Christian
and they did
McCaffrey was out. Deebo Samuel was out. One of their best.
Deshaun Watson was out.
You're right. But 3 versus 1. I don't know, man. I think the Browns.
You can't 3 versus 1. There's no one. There's no.
The Browns are top half of the NFL.
There's no amount that's equal to a quarterback.
Browns are the top half of the NFL.
Of course, they're in the top 5.
My number 4 pick is going to be a team that lost to go from undefeated to a 1-loss team. I'm going to go Eagles in number 4 to lose against the Jets. Yes, the Jets are a tough team. Their defense is really good. Their defense last year was better, and I feel like they took a step back, but they're starting to get their groove back as far as, just swag with defense. The offense needs to pick it up, but I'm having the Eagles with 1 loss at number 4. Kyle,
I like that pick.
Okay.
See, I don't got a problem with that. I don't know why you got to come at me with mine. I like your pick.
Because the Browns at number 4. You're crazy. Kyle, look at that face, Kyle. Look at that face. That's a crazy man's face.
At number 3, I have the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right.
They're loaded. Yeah, they lost. Whatever. They're going to continue to win most of their games. They're still going to be 14-3, and they're still going to, compete for the number 1 seed. Don't overthink it. Philly's still that team. They had a very similar loss to the Commanders last year on Thursday Night Football, a game that they shouldn't have lost. I did say when I said the Jets were going to win, because now I do remember saying it, because I remember saying this was a trap game set up for the Eagles because of the way the Jets have been playing, right? They're coming off a big Broncos win. And now when you look at Philly, it's like, did they just get it out of the way? It seems like it. They got it out of the way. I think they continue to roll. I think they bounce back big next week. And here's my little plot twist. I don't know or care who the Eagles are playing next week. They win big.
Okay. All right. I like it. I
They're
like it.
playing the Bears. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, then they're really winning big. My number 3 is a team that I said was going to get on a roll, and they have been. My number 3 is the second best team in the NFC, and that is the Lions at number 3 in the standings in my top 5. Goff is a savage. They lost Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in this game against against them, and they still won. They still beat the Bucs. So I just they didn't make they did make my top 5 last time. They made it to number 5, but with this win, and if they continue to keep rolling, they might just keep moving up. But I got Lions at number 3 right now, Kyle.
Love the pick at number
Liar.
2. I know, I like it. At number 2, I have the Detroit Lions.
Ooh. All right.
I think right now the Lions have proven that they can beat Philly. By the way, Philly, I checked. They play the Dolphins. So,
I don't care who they play. They're beating them big.
Yeah. So I'm taking Philly big. There you go.
There you go.
Detroit, number 2. I do think defensively, Detroit is just maybe the best defense. They're right there with San Francisco. And then when you look at offensively, they're scoring a lot of points consistently right now. I showed you earlier 20 points in I think 15 straight games.
Mm-hmm.
And with the defense they have, you don't need to score much more than 20, but we know they're capable of doing that too. I think if you're a Lions fan, you're having one of the best years of your life. This is a fun team to watch. They can be on prime time. The Detroit Lions, this is a brand new Lions, and they come in as the second best team in the NFL. I even as a person that expected Detroit to be really good, it just feels really good to have arrived here at number 2 and be able to say this on week 6.
Love it. Love it. My number 2 is your number 5. I've got the Miami Dolphins at number 2. I am someone who really, really loves offense. And you couldn't tell because I'm a Bears fan. So I know that may confuse some of you that I really love offense because I'm a Bears fan, and I get it. The Dolphins defensively, not great. Bottom probably third of the NFL in terms of points allowed, yards allowed, but they get a lot of sacks and they get a lot of pressures on quarterbacks. If they can just keep doing that the rest of the season, I think this team is going to sort itself out into being the AFC rep for the Super Bowl. It can be. I think they're that good. So I'm taking the Dolphins at number 2.
All right, I guess we have the same number 1, unless you throw me for an absolute loop here.
The Bears?
The Chicago Bears check in at number 1.
Number 29.
Oh, wait, no, that's not a 1. 31.
31.
Sorry, 31.
Yeah.
There it is. No, I got the 49ers. I got the 49ers. Yeah,
Yep.
They lost. I don't care. Personally, I don't care. When you don't have CMC, Trent Williams, and Deebo Samuel, okay, well, when you really break it down, that's 3 Pro Bowlers, first All Pros. Maybe Deebo doesn't get in. Maybe he does, but CMC, first team All Pro. Then you look at the Trent Williams, first team All Pro. Those aren't just nobodies, right? I understand that San Francisco didn't overcome, but you laughed about it. I think Cleveland's the number 4 team. So I don't look at it like, no, they had a bad day at the office. It's like, no, they had injuries and played a very good team and they lost. But that doesn't mean that if they had all of their stars, they would have lost. They would have won the game. That's why San Francisco's number 1 and Cleveland's not, is because this is the best team in the NFL when they're healthy. And right now you're just hoping they can get healthy quick.
Yeah, that's a big issue. That the health thing with CMC especially has been a big issue. I don't think Deebo Samuel has really had any injury issues in his time in the NFL, although maybe there was a little stretch there before his big contract that he got with the 49ers. But yeah, they had a bad day at the office, man. Again, those injuries definitely contributed to them losing against Cleveland, but they are the most complete team. You know, Brock Purdy had a lot of struggles against this Browns defense, and the Browns defense, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. They're the best defense in the NFL right now. They get pressure on the quarterback. They make them look silly on offense. But Brock Purdy, I think, will come back from this first regular season game that he's lost, but he's going to come back from this better because, one, he has Kyle Shanahan there. Two, he's got a lot of veteran leadership in that locker room. And three, he was the last pick in the NFL, man. He's got to be good. You know that's in his mind. Yeah. I'm not supposed to be here right now. The fact that I'm here makes me fucking great, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Yeah, and to your point, they didn't know they weren't going to have CMC, Trent Williams, and Debo, which means that they had an entire game plan that they weren't able to carry out. Mm-hmm. You just gave Kyle Shanahan an entire week to know that, okay, now I can game plan accordingly. Yep. So, yeah, I do expect a bounce-back game from him because of the fact that Kyle Shanahan's going to have so much time to prepare for, however they have to adapt in order to see Brock Purdy go out and perform. And I think you're gonna get that.
All right. Well, that was our top five.
Top five, no debating. Top five.
All right, Kyle, let's get into the final segment here. We're going to do things a little differently because we are going to be bringing you the episode with Kyle and I in a different fashion this week. So we're going to give you guys our Thursday night football predictions. And the Thursday night football prediction is the Jags at Saints. So let me just type that up and put it up here on the screen for you guys. So the Jags at Saints, Thursday night football this week. We're not only going to bring you the stream on Thursday night football for the game, but we're also going to bring you our predictions for Sunday and Monday. So make sure to stick around after the Thursday night football stream. Kyle, Jags at Saints. Jags, 3 wins in a row now. Trevor Lawrence didn't look good this last game. Defense stepped up for it. For that, they were efficient with the ball because of those turnovers from the defense. They were able to just go 20, 25 yards into the end zone. Travis Etienne looks good. What was the receiver that they got? Christian Kirk looked good.
Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley has been quiet a little bit for these last couple weeks, but I think he's going to be due for a couple touchdowns and a good game here coming soon. The Saints coming off a loss, looking just rough right now with Derek Carr, giving up that late game interception. I'm talking baseball over here. That late game interception that iced the game for the Saints. They are in New Orleans. Who are you taking between the Jags and the Saints?
It's a no-brainer. I'm taking the Jags, and I'm taking them to win. I don't know if they're going to win by a huge margin, but I could see the same score playing out, 20-37, something like that.
Oh, wow.
But, the Saints are one of those teams that can play close games. This is a primetime football game in the Superdome. I expect the crowd to get into it. And with that, I think, okay, maybe it's not such a big margin. Maybe this game is a little bit closer. Maybe the Saints hang around and remind everybody that the Jags love to, right when you're like really about to just put all your chips in on Jacksonville, they have a game that you're like, what is that? You know what I mean? That's what makes this one kind of hard to predict, but I'm going to go with the Jags. I predicted them to win most of their football games this year, to be the number 1 AFC seed, and they're the better team. They should go in and win this game.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, dude. The Jags are going to go for the 4th win in a row. Derek Carr looked bad late in that game, giving up the interception, obviously, like I said. And the Jags, efficient with the ball, able to rush the ball, able to pass the ball. Their defense is doing really well. I think they're going to take the ball away a couple times. Both turnovers are going to be against Derek Carr, so 2 interceptions for Derek Carr I'm predicting against this Jags defense. And I don't think the Saints score more than 14 points in this game. I think the Jags are going to shut them down 27-10.
27-10?
27-10. Jags win in the Superdome in New Orleans. Jags get their 4th win in a row and really start pulling away in the AFC South.
Do you think that there's a chance that Derek Carr, though, has himself like a really big game?
I could see it at home. I just think this defense is going to be a lot better than Derek Carr, and I think they're going to take it away, like I said, twice. and they're going to win 27-10 on the road in Thursday Night Football.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. You got anything else on this game before we
skedaddle
up
just
out of here?
One thing I will say is that it's looked like there's been a lot of Travis Etienne lately, and he's doing a really good job running the football. And that's kind of an aspect to the Jaguars offense that we may have not talked about a lot, but Jacksonville, if they're going to be able to run the football effectively and take the ball away, it's only a matter of time before Calvin Ridley does have himself a big game, because he was only targeted 8 times on Sunday, which isn't, not a lot, but it's also, 8 targets, that's not bad, but he only had 4 catches. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and he had a long of 10. So a lot of these average 7.5 yards per catch. So, it's not like we're seeing the most, at this point out of Calvin Ridley, but I think with the new run game, this might be a perfect game for that.
I like it. He's due. He's due. He looked good those first couple games for the Jags, and he's been quiet. So I think he's ready to burst out against the Saints. But all right, that was our predictions for Thursday Night Football, and now it's time for the little chives. The little chives with Kyle. I love it. Look at that. He's got the chives in the back. Kyle, end us off. What you got?
All right, so we were talking about the 49ers and the injuries that happened later. Wide receiver Deebo Samuel, shoulder, left tackle Trent Williams, ankle. Don't forget about safety George Odom, quad contusion. They're all day-to-day with their respective injuries from the team's Week 6 contest. Now, running back Christian McCaffrey, rib oblique injury, was undergoing an MRI at the time of Kyle Shanahan's address to the media, and he's awaiting the examination. So tomorrow we'll know what's going on with CMC. Hopefully nothing wrong in those MRIs, but all their other stars are day-to-day. That has got to be a big relief. And for Christian McCaffrey, even if the MRI does show something, it is a rib oblique injury. I'm not a doctor, but that's better than getting an MRI on a knee, right?
Yep.
Or something like that. So I don't think anything too serious is happening to the 49ers.
Hold on, you're not a doctor?
Well, I am a doctor.
Why have I been showing you my dick this entire time?
Have you heard the one where he's like doing the anal exam? It's late.
Yeah.
He's doing the anal exam, and he's like, all right, this is only gonna hurt a little bit. And then the guy's like, wait, I feel both your hands on my shoulders. Because it was going to be the finger. And then he's like, wait, how do I feel both your hands on me right now?
Late night, only football. Thank you guys for joining us. Follow us at Star6 Media on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Facebook, and at _Star6 Media on Twitter. You can follow me at @andnowrick on Twitter. Kyle, where can they follow you on Twitter?
You can follow me at FTBLONLYPODCAST. Football Only Podcast. And you can also check out on my Twitter video from the field yesterday. Being the veteran of the game was an awesome experience. So check that out.
Definitely go check that out because the videos are awesome. You see one of Kyle in his Navy service uniform, his NSUs as we call it. He looked like such a dweeb. And then you look at the one with his son and you're like, oh, why'd I laugh at him earlier? And then it goes back to the one in his NSUs and then you laugh again. So it's just a bunch of emotions all over the place. But it was a great video. Go check it out. It's awesome what they did. And again, huge shout out to the Jags for doing that for our boy Kyle.
Oh, I did want to say this. I was going to say this in the Chives. So when I was there, man, it was crazy because you can look up at the screen and see, or you can look like straight at the camera. I chose to really just soak that moment up and look at the screen. And then at the end, I premeditated this, but I went like this because everyone knows in Duval, if you're going, then you're going Duval.
Yeah.
So right at the end, I went, and you can see it on the screen. And if you turn the volume up on it, you can hear they cut the video right there, but you can hear everyone starting to Duval.
Hell yeah, dude.
I also got like 8 different messages on Facebook Messenger of a picture of me on the field. That's like, oh, I'm at the game. People I went to high school with. Dude, there was one guy that was recording where our seats were, and you can hear in the back, that's Kyle. That's Kyle.
That's Kyle.
And it was so cool, man. It was like, this was
That's
the
awesome.
perfect place for it because I grew up there. If it would have happened in any other stadium, it wouldn't have been like that. The P8 flying over, it was all just absolutely magnificent. So I wanted to share a little bit there.
I love it. I love it. Go check out that content. And obviously, come back for more Only Football, your veteran-run NFL football podcast show. Come check it out. And I want to give a huge shout-out. Bill and World Hunger. And we also had Hat on Fire, new sub. Thank you guys for being in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for chatting. We love it. And Kyle, we'll see you next time.